Emma Rodriguez wiped the sweat from her face as she worked in the hot mining tunnels. The air was thick and heavy, making it hard to breathe. She had been working since dawn, helping her father Carlos run the crystal extraction machines. New Haven was not an easy place to live, but it was home. The mining colony sat on the edge of known space, far from the safe worlds near Earth. Most people thought the colonists were crazy for living so far out. The Galactic Council had warned them about dangerous creatures in this part of space. But the crystals here were worth more than gold, and the Rodriguez family needed the money. Emma was only 16, but she had been working in the mines since she was 12. Her hands were tough and strong from years of hard work. She knew every tunnel and every machine in the facility. Her father often said she was the best worker he had, even better than the grown men. The warning sirens started. Screening just after lunch. Emma dropped her tools and ran toward the main building. The sound meant only one thing. Something was coming from space. Something big. Carlos was already at the control room when Emma arrived. His face was pale as he stared at the screens. Other colonists crowded around him, all talking at once. Jake Morrison, the security chief, was shouting orders that no one seemed to hear. "What is it, Papa?" Emma asked, pushing through the crowd. "Unknown ship," Carlos said quietly. "Big one?" "Coming in fast." Emma looked at the screen. A dark shape was falling through the atmosphere, trailing fire and smoke. It was spinning out of control, clearly damaged. As they watched, the ship crashed somewhere in the crystal caves about 5 miles from the colony. "We should report this to the council," said Dr. Lisa Chun, the colony's doctor. She was a small woman with kind eyes, but her voice was worried. "No," Jake said firmly. "We need to check it out first. Could be pirates. Could be worse. What if they need help?" Emma asked. Jake laughed, but it was not a happy sound. "Kid, nothing good ever comes from unknown ships in this part of space. We stay away and call for backup." The adults argued for an hour about what to do. Some wanted to investigate. Others wanted to hide and hope the ship's crew was already dead. Emma listened to them argue, but her mind was made up. While they talked, someone could be dying in that crashed ship. When evening came, Emma slipped out of the main building. The colony was quiet. Most people were inside, still worried about the crashed ship. Emma had packed a small bag with water, food, and basic medical supplies. She had learned first aid from Dr. Chun, just in case someone got hurt in the mines. The walk to the crystal caves took 2 hours. Emma knew the way well, because she often came here to think when work was hard. The caves were beautiful, filled with glowing crystals that lit up the darkness. But tonight they seemed different. Scary. Emma found the crashed ship easily. It had made a huge crater in the ground, and broken crystals were everywhere. The ship was unlike anything she had ever seen. It was black and smooth, with strange symbols carved into its hull. Green liquid dripped from cracks in the metal. Steam rose from the wreckage, and Emma could hear strange sounds coming from inside. Not mechanical sounds, but something else. Something that might have been breathing. Emma's heart pounded as she approached the ship. Every smart part of her brain told her to run home. But she had always been curious, and she had always wanted to help people. She climbed through a hole in the ship's side. The inside of the ship was dark and hot. Emergency lights flickered on and off, casting weird shadows on the walls. The air smelled strange, like metal and something else she could not identify. Emma followed the breathing sounds deeper into the ship. She found him in what looked like the main cabin. At first, Emma thought she was looking at a machine. The creature was huge, nearly 8 feet tall, covered in what looked like black armor. But then she saw the green blood pooling beneath him, and she realized the armor was actually his skin. The creature had 4 arms, each ending in claws that looked sharp enough to cut through steel. His head was long and narrow, with glowing red eyes that seemed to burn in the darkness. Emma had never seen anything like him, but she knew what he was. Every human child learned about the Vorthik in school. They were the monsters that lived in the dark parts of space. They were killers who showed no mercy to anyone. But this Vorthik was not killing anyone. He was dying. Green blood leaked from several wounds in his armored skin. His breathing was shallow and quick. One of his arms was bent at a wrong angle, clearly broken. His red eyes were dim, not bright like the stories said they should be. Emma stood frozen for a long moment. Everything she had ever been taught told her to run. The Vorthik were humanity's enemies. They killed without thinking. They ate other intelligent beings. They were the stuff of nightmares. But as Emma looked at the wounded creature, she did not see a monster. She saw someone who was hurt and scared, and probably going to die alone in a crashed ship on a strange world. The Vorthik's eyes found hers. For a moment, they just stared at each other. Emma expected him to attack, to try to kill her even though he was badly hurt. But he did not move. He just looked at her with those strange red eyes. Emma saw something in those eyes that she had not expected to see. Pain, yes. Fear, maybe. But also something else. Something that looked almost like hope. She took a step forward, then another. The Vorthik watched her, but did not try to attack. Emma knelt beside him and opened her medical bag. Her hands were shaking, but she tried to remember everything Dr. Chun had taught her. "It's okay," she whispered, not sure if he could understand her. "I'm going to help you." The creature made a sound deep in his throat. It might have been a growl, or it might have been something else. But he did not try to stop her as she began to clean his wounds with antiseptic from her kit. Emma worked carefully, trying not to hurt him more than necessary. The green blood was thick and sticky, unlike human blood. But wounds were wounds, and she knew how to treat them. She used bandages to stop the bleeding and gave him water to drink. The Vorthik drank gratefully, his long tongue lapping up the water. Emma realized he had probably been without water for hours, maybe days. She gave him some of her food too, though she was not sure what his kind ate. As she worked, Emma talked to him softly. She told him about the colony, about her father, about the crystal mines. She did not know if he understood her words, but her voice seemed to calm him. Hours passed. The Vorthik's breathing became stronger, and some color returned to his eyes. Emma had done what she could with her basic supplies, but he needed real medical care. "I have to go," she told him, "but I'll come back. I promise." The creature reached out with one of his good arms and gently touched her hand. His claws were sharp, but he was very careful not to hurt her. Emma felt something pass between them in that moment. Not words, but understanding. As Emma climbed out of the crashed ship, she knew her life had changed forever. She had looked into the eyes of humanity's greatest enemy and seen not a monster, but a person. And she had made a choice that would change everything. Emma returned to the colony just before sunrise. She was tired and dirty, with green stains on her clothes that she hoped no one would notice. Her father was waiting for her at the main building, his face dark with worry and anger. "Where have you been?" Carlos demanded. "I looked everywhere for you." "I went for a walk," Emma said, trying to sound calm. "I needed to think." Carlos studied her face carefully. He knew his daughter well, and he could tell when she was not telling the whole truth. But before he could ask more questions, Jake Morrison appeared. "Good, you're both here," Jake said. "We need to make a decision about that crashed ship. I want to send a team to check it out." Emma's heart jumped. "Maybe we should wait for the council authorities," she said quickly. Jake shook his head. "That could take weeks. If there's salvage worth taking, or if there's a threat to the colony, we need to know now. For the next 3 days, Emma lived in constant fear. Every time someone mentioned the crashed ship, she worried they would discover her secret. She made excuses to avoid the planning meetings. She volunteered for extra work shifts to stay busy, but she also made secret trips to the crash site. Each night, after everyone was asleep, Emma would sneak out with more supplies. Food, water, better medical equipment stolen from Dr. Chun's clinic. Each time, she found the Vorthik a little stronger. She learned his name was Carthan. He could speak some words in the common galactic language, though his voice was deep and rough. He told her he was a scout, sent to explore this part of space. He did not say why, but Emma could tell there was more to the story. Carthan was amazed by Emma's kindness. In his language, there was no word for mercy. The Vorthik believed that helping the weak made you weak. The wounded were left to die or killed quickly to prevent them from slowing down the group. "Why do you help me?" Carthan asked one night. His red eyes glowing in the crystal light. Emma thought about the question. "Because you're hurt," she said. Simply, because everyone deserves help when they need it. Carthan made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your species is strange. On my world, you would be dead in 1 day." "Good thing we're not on your world," Emma said, changing his bandages. As Carthan grew stronger, he began to move around. The ship. Emma was amazed by how graceful he was, despite his size. His forearms moved independently, each one capable of different tasks. His claws, which had seemed so frightening at first, were actually very precise tools. On the 4th night, Emma's secret was discovered. She was in the crashed ship, helping Carthan repair his communication system, when footsteps echoed through the hull. Emma's blood went cold. Someone had followed her. Jake Morrison appeared in the doorway, his weapon drawn. Behind him were 2 other colonists, Ben Taylor and Mike Stevens. All 3 men stopped dead when they saw Emma sitting next to the massive Vorthik. "Get away from that thing, Emma," Jake shouted. "Right now." Carthan rose to his full height, his claws extending. Emma could feel the tension in his body as he prepared to fight. But she stepped between them, her arms spread wide. "Stop," she yelled. "Don't hurt him. Are you insane?" Ben said, "That's a Vorthik. They're killers." "He's not a killer," Emma said firmly. "His name is Carthan, and he's hurt. I've been taking care of him." Jake's face was red with anger. "You've been what?" "Emma, those things eat people. They're monsters." "He's not a monster," Emma said. "He's just different." Carthan spoke then, his voice careful and slow. "I will not hurt the small female. She has shown me kindness. I owe her a debt." The 3 men exchanged glances. None of them had ever heard a Vorthik speak before, except in the movies where they usually just roared and killed people. "This is impossible," Mike whispered. "They don't talk. They don't think. They just kill." "Well, this one thinks just fine," Emma said. "And he's been telling me about his people. They're not what we think they are." Jake kept his weapon pointed at Carthan. "I don't care what it says. My job is to protect this colony, and that thing is a threat." "The only threat here is your ignorance," Emma shot back. She was surprised by her own boldness, but she was not going to let them hurt Carthan. Carlos arrived an hour later, brought by Ben, who had run back to get him. Emma's father took one look at the scene and sat down heavily on a piece of wreckage. "Emma," he said quietly, "what have you done?" "I helped someone who needed help," Emma said. "Just like you taught me." Carlos looked at Carthan, who was sitting calmly despite having 3 weapons pointed at him. The Vorthik's red eyes were intelligent and alert. This was not the mindless beast from the stories. "He really can talk?" Carlos asked. "Better than some humans I know," Emma said, glaring at Jake. Dr. Chun arrived next, called by the commotion. She was a scientist as well as a doctor, and her curiosity overcame her fear. She examined Carthen's wounds and was amazed by how well Emma had treated them. "Remarkable," Dr. Chon said. "His physiology is similar to ours in many ways." "Emma, you probably saved his life." "That's the problem," Jake said. "Now we're stuck with it." "With him," Emma corrected. "And we're not stuck with anyone. Carthen just needs to repair his ship so he can leave." But Carthen shook his head. "Cannot leave yet. Must warn others. Great danger comes." "What danger?" Carlos asked. Carthen's eyes grew darker. "The Devourers. Machines that eat all life. They destroyed my fleet. They come this way." The colonists looked at each other with new worry. If Carthen was telling the truth, they faced a threat much worse than one wounded Vorthik. "Why should we believe you?" Jake asked. "Because," Carthen said simply, "if I wanted to hurt you, I would have started with the small female. She has been alone with me many times." Emma felt a warm feeling in her chest. Carthen was protecting her, just as she had protected him. Dr. Chun made a decision. We need to hear his story. All of it. If there really is a threat coming, we need to know about it. Jake was not happy, but he lowered his weapon. "Fine, but it stays under guard. And if it makes one wrong move—" "His name is Carthen," Emma said firmly. "And he's not an it." Over the next few hours, more colonists arrived at the crash site. Word had spread quickly through the small community. Some came out of curiosity, others out of fear. All of them were amazed to see a Vorthik talking calmly with humans. Carthen told them about the Devourers, mechanical beings that consumed organic matter and turned it into more machines. His people had been the first to encounter them in the Outer Rim. The Vorthik fleet had been almost completely destroyed in the first battle. "We are warriors," Carthen said. "We know how to fight. But these machines, they learn from every battle. They adapt. They cannot be reasoned with or frightened. They only consume." Emma listened to his story and felt a chill run down her spine. She had thought helping one wounded alien was a big deal. Now she realized it might be the smallest part of something much larger. As dawn broke over the crystal caves, the colonists made a decision. They would help Carthen repair his ship so he could warn the Galactic Council about the Devourer threat. It was the right thing to do, and it might save all their lives. But Emma knew that some things had changed forever. She had looked beyond fear and prejudice to see the person inside the monster. And in doing so, she had opened a door that could never be closed again. Jake still did not trust Carthen, but even he had to admit the Vorthik had kept his word. There had been many chances to attack, but Carthen had remained peaceful. "This doesn't change what they are," Jake said to Emma, as they walked back to the colony. "No," Emma agreed, "but it changes what they could be." The work to repair Carthen's ship began the next morning. Emma was amazed by how quickly the colonists organized themselves. Ben Taylor, who was the colony's best engineer, took charge of the technical repairs. Dr. Chun studied Carthen's biology to better understand his needs. Even Jake Morrison, despite his suspicions, helped coordinate the work shifts. Emma spent most of her time with Carthen, acting as a bridge between him and the other colonists. Many of them were still afraid of him, but Emma's presence seemed to calm their fears. She had become proof that the Vorthik could be peaceful. "Tell me about your home world," Emma said one day as they worked on the ship's power systems. Carthen's red eyes grew distant. "Vorthik Prime is not like this place. Everything there wants to kill everything else. The plants have poison. The animals have fangs and claws. Even the air can burn your lungs if you breathe in the wrong place." "That sounds terrible," Emma said. "It made us strong," Carthen replied. "But it also made us hard. we learned that mercy is death. Help the weak, and you become weak. Show kindness, and others will see it as weakness to exploit. Emma thought about this. But you're not on your world now. You're here, where things are different. Carthen looked at her with something that might have been wonder. Yes, here, mercy makes you strong. I am learning this from you. As the days passed, Emma learned more about Vorthic society. They lived in hunting packs, each one led by the strongest warrior. They had no art, no music, no stories except tales of great battles. Their language had words for anger, fear, and hunger, but no words for love, joy, or hope. How do you have children if you don't have love? Emma asked. Carthen tilted his head, confused. Children are made for the strength of the pack. Love is not needed. But who takes care of the young ones? The strongest females. Until the young are old enough to fight, then they must prove themselves or die. Emma felt sad hearing this. She thought about her own childhood, full of her father's hugs and bedtime stories. She could not imagine growing up without love. What about friends? She asked. Don't you have friends? Carthen was quiet for a long moment. I had a pack brother. Once, Vorthic, we hunted together for many seasons. But when food was scarce, I had to fight him for the right to eat. I won. You killed your friend? I had to. It was the way. Emma put her hand on one of Carthen's claws. I'm sorry. That must have been hard. Carthen stared at her hand. You are the first being to say that to me. The first to understand that it was difficult. Dr. Chun made an interesting discovery while studying Carthen's biology. She found that Vorthic brains had the same areas that controlled empathy and compassion as human brains. These areas were simply underdeveloped, like muscles that had never been used. It's fascinating, Dr. Chun told Emma. His species has the capacity for emotions like ours, but their environment never allowed those emotions to develop. They were selected against by evolution. You mean they could learn to feel things like love and friendship? Theoretically, yes. But it would be like learning to use a limb that had been paralyzed their whole lives. Very difficult. Emma shared this information with Carthen, who found it hard to believe. You think my people could be like yours? I think individuals can change, Emma said. Look at you. A few weeks ago, you would have killed me without thinking. Now you're working with us to save lives. Carthen considered this. Perhaps. But change is dangerous. If my people became soft like yours, we would not survive. Maybe, Emma said. Or maybe you would survive better. We humans have taken over most of the galaxy, and we did it by working together, not by fighting each other. The repair work was going well, but it was interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Commander Alex Pierce of the Earth Defense Force arrived at New Haven with a small patrol ship. Someone had reported the presence of a Vorthic to the authorities. Emma's heart sank when she saw the military ship's landing. Commander Pierce was a stern man with gray hair and cold eyes. He had fought in the border wars against the Vorthic, and Emma could see the hatred in his face when he looked at Carthen. Citizens of New Haven, Pierce announced over the colonies. Speakers, you are harboring a known enemy of the Galactic Council. Surrender the creature immediately, or face charges of treason. The colonists gathered in the main square, with Carthen standing among them. Emma noticed that several of the colonists moved to stand near the Vorthic, not away from him. They were protecting him. Commander, Carlos said, stepping forward. This being has committed no crimes. He crashed here, and we helped him. The Vorthic are enemies of humanity, Pierce said. They have killed thousands of our people. This one will be taken for questioning and then executed. No, Emma said, moving to stand in front of Carthen. He's not a killer. He's trying to warn us about a real threat. Pierce laughed coldly. A threat? Child, you're talking about a Vorthik. They are the threat. Carthan spoke then, his voice calm and clear. Commander Pierce, I know your name. You led the attack on Vorthik Station 7. You killed my cousin Thraken in that battle. Pierce's hand moved to his weapon. I killed many of your kind, and I'll kill many more. Thraken was a good warrior, Carthan said. He died with honor. I do not blame you for his death. It was war. This seemed to surprise Pierce. You don't want revenge? I want to prevent more death, Carthan said. The Devourers are coming. They will kill humans and Vorthik alike. We must work together to stop them. Emma felt proud of Carthan. He was choosing cooperation over revenge, understanding over hatred. This was not the behavior of a mindless monster. But Pierce was not convinced. I've heard enough. Surrender now, or we will take you by force. You'll have to go through us first, Jake Morrison said, stepping forward. Emma was shocked. Jake had been the most suspicious of Carthan, but now he was willing to protect him. Jake's right, Ben Taylor said. Carthan is under our protection. Dr. Chon nodded. This being has shown us nothing but cooperation. He deserves a chance to speak to the council. Pierce looked around at the colonists, all of them standing together. You're all making a mistake. When this thing turns on you, don't say I didn't warn you. But before Pierce could act, alarms began sounding from his ship. His communications officer came running. Commander, we're detecting multiple contacts approaching the system. Unknown configuration. They're big, sir. Pierce's face went pale. How many? Dozens, sir. Maybe hundreds. Carthan's eyes grew bright with fear. They are here. The Devourers have found us. Emma looked up at the sky, where she could see dark. Shapes moving against the stars. The real enemy was coming, and suddenly all their arguments seemed very small. Commander, Carthan said urgently, your weapons will not work against them. Not alone. You need to listen to me if you want to survive. Pierce looked at his instruments, then at Carthan, and at the approaching ships. Emma could see him wrestling with years of hatred and training. What do you know about them? Pierce asked finally. Everything, Carthan said. I have fought them. I have seen what they can do, and I know their weakness. Emma felt a moment of hope. Maybe, just maybe, they could work together after all. Then we better get ready, Pierce said grimly, because they'll be here soon. The first shots from the Devourer ships lit up the sky like deadly fireworks. The battle for New Haven was about to begin. The Devourer ships were unlike anything Emma had ever seen. They were not built but grown, like metal tumors spreading across the darkness of space. Their surfaces rippled and shifted as they moved, and they made no sound except for a low humming. That seemed to come from everywhere at once. They adapt, Carthan said as he watched the enemy ships approach. Every weapon you use against them, they learn to defend against. Every tactic you try, they counter. Commander Pierce was studying the enemy through his ship's sensors. How many ships do you count? 47 main vessels, his communications officer reported, plus smaller attack craft. Too many to count. Pierce's patrol had only 3 ships, and the colony's defenses were minimal. A few mining lasers that could be used as weapons, some old missile launchers, and a small shield generator that could protect the main buildings. Against a normal enemy, they would not stand a chance. What's their weakness? Pierce asked Carthan. They cannot adapt to what they have not seen before, Carthan replied. My people fought them with traditional weapons and tactics. They learned to counter everything we had. But your people, you fight differently. Emma felt a chill of fear mixed with pride. Humanity was about to be tested in a way they had never been tested before. The first wave of Devourer ships entered the atmosphere. They moved in perfect formation, their metal hulls gleaming in the sunlight. As they descended, Emma could see mechanical tentacles extending from their undersides, reaching toward the ground like hungry fingers. "They're going to land," Pierce said. "They want to consume the colony piece by piece." "No," Carthan said. "Urgently. They land to build more ships. They will use your people and materials to create more devourers." Emma's blood went cold. These things did not just want to kill them. They wanted to turn them into more monsters. The battle began when the first devourer ship tried to land near the crystal caves. Pierce's patrol ships opened fire with everything they had. Laser beams and missiles struck the alien vessel, but instead of being destroyed, it began to change. Its hull shifted and adapted, becoming resistant to the weapons striking it. "Just like Carthan said," Pierce muttered. "They're learning." But Ben Taylor had an idea. What if we don't give them time to adapt? What if we hit them with everything at once, all different types of weapons? Emma remembered something Carthan had told her about human tactics. He said we fight differently than the Vorthic. We use strategy and teamwork. "Then let's show them what human teamwork looks like," Pierce said. The defense of New Haven became a lesson in human adaptability. While the Devourers had superior technology, the humans had something the machines could not copy. Creativity. Ben Taylor rigged the mining. Lasers to fire in rotating frequencies, never giving the enemy time to adapt to one type of beam. Jake Morrison organized the colonists into small groups that attacked from different angles, using hit-and-run tactics that confused the machines. Dr. Chun discovered that the Devourers had trouble with unexpected combinations of attack. A mining laser followed immediately by an explosive charge caused more damage than either weapon alone. But the real surprise came from Carthan himself. The Vorthic warrior proved to be more valuable than any weapon. His natural speed and strength, combined with his knowledge of Devourer tactics, made him a deadly opponent. Emma watched in amazement as Carthan moved through the battle like a dancer. His 4 arms worked independently, each one wielding a different weapon. He could predict where the enemy would move before they moved, and he struck at weak points that the machines did not know they had. "How does he do that?" Emma asked her father as they watched from the command center. "He's a natural warrior," Carlos said. "But more than that, he's fighting for us now. That makes him stronger." The battle raged for hours. The Devourers kept adapting to human weapons, but the humans kept changing their tactics. Every time the machines thought they had learned how to counter human strategy, the colonists tried something new. Emma found herself in the thick of the fighting when a group of Devourer scouts broke through the perimeter. She was helping to evacuate wounded colonists when the machines surrounded the medical station. The Devourers moved toward her with mechanical precision, their tentacles reaching out to grab her. Emma had no weapons, no way to fight back. She thought she was going to die. Then Carthan appeared. The Vorthic warrior crashed into the nearest Devourer like a living missile. His claws tore through metal armor as if it were paper. He moved so fast that Emma could barely follow him, striking at 3 different machines at once. But the Devourers were learning. As Carthan fought, they began to adapt to his fighting style. Their armor became thicker where he struck. Their movements became faster to match his speed. Emma saw what was happening. "Carthan," she shouted, "change your tactics." The Vorthic warrior heard her and immediately switched from using his claws to using the human weapons he had picked up. The sudden change confused the machines just long enough for him to destroy them. "Thank you," Emma said when the immediate danger was over. "I owe you a debt," Carthan replied. "You saved my life. Now I save yours." But Emma shook her head. "You don't owe me anything. We're friends. Friends help each other." Carthan stared at her for a long moment. "Friends," he repeated slowly, as if tasting the word. "Yes, I think I understand now." The tide of battle turned when Dr. Chun made a crucial discovery. While treating a wounded colonist, she noticed something strange about the Devourer technology. The machines were not just learning from the attacks against them. They were learning from each other. They're networked, she told Pierce over the radio. All the machines share information instantly. That's how they adapt so fast. Can we disrupt the network? Pierce asked. Maybe, but we'd need to get close to one of their command ships. Emma volunteered for the mission before anyone else. Could speak. I'll go. I'm small and fast. I can get through their defenses. Absolutely not, Carlos said. It's too dangerous. I'm going with her, Carthen said firmly. I can protect her. Pierce looked at the unlikely pair. A 16-year-old human girl and a Vorthic warrior. This is insane. It's our best chance, Emma said. Carthen knows their technology, and I know how to use human equipment. Together, we might be able to do this. The mission was desperate and dangerous. Emma and Carthen had to fight their way through waves of Devourer drones to reach the command ship. The machines threw everything they had at the two friends, but Emma and Carthen fought as a team. Emma used her small size to get into places Carthen could not reach. Carthen used his strength to clear paths that Emma could not open. They covered each other's weaknesses and amplified each other's strengths. When they finally reached the command ship, Emma planted Dr. Chun's virus into the machine's network. The virus was designed to create confusion in the Devourer communication system, making it impossible for them to share information. The effect was immediate. All across the battlefield, the Devourer ships began to act independently. They could no longer adapt as quickly because they could not learn from each other's experiences. It's working. Pierce shouted over the radio. They're confused. The human defenders pressed their advantage. Without their network, the Devourers were still dangerous, but they were no longer invincible. One by one, the alien ships were destroyed or driven away. As the last Devourer ship fled into space. Emma and Carthen stood together in the crystal caves where they had first met. Both of them were wounded and tired, but they had survived. We did it, Emma said, hardly believing it was true. We did, Carthen agreed. But this is only the beginning. There are more Devourers out there, many more. Emma looked up at the stars, where she could still see the distant shapes of the retreating enemy ships. Then we'll fight them too, together. Carthen placed one of his claws gently on Emma's shoulder. Yes, together. I am beginning to understand what that word means. Commander Pierce approached them, his face showing a mixture of respect and confusion. I owe you both an apology. I was wrong about you. 3 months after the Battle of New Haven, Emma Rodriguez stood before the Galactic Council on the great space station that orbited the capital world. She had never imagined she would be in such a place. The council chamber was huge, with representatives from dozens of different species arranged in a great circle. Emma felt very small in the vast room, but she was not alone. Carthen stood beside her, his red eyes calm and steady. Commander Pierce was there too, along with her father Carlos and Dr. Chun. They had all come to tell the galaxy about what had happened at New Haven. The council had been debating for weeks about the Devourer threat. Some species wanted to fight. Others wanted to hide. A few suggested trying to make peace with the machines, not understanding that the Devourers could not be reasoned with. The Vorthic have been our enemies for generations, said Councillor Taran, a tall blue-skinned alien who spoke for the Altarian Federation. How can we trust them now? Because they proved themselves, Emma said, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber. Carthen could have killed me when I first found him. He could have betrayed us during the battle. Instead, he fought beside us and helped save lives. Emma told the council about her first meeting with Carthen in the crashed ship. She described how scared she had been, but how she had chosen to help anyway. She talked about learning that the Vorthik were not monsters, just people shaped by a harsh world. The Devourers don't care what species we are, Emma said. They will consume us all equally. Our only chance is to work together. Carthan spoke next, his deep voice respectful but firm. My people have made mistakes. We have caused pain to many species in this galaxy, but we have also learned. The small human female taught us about mercy. Her people taught us about cooperation. We wish to make amends. The debate went on for hours. Many council members found it hard to believe that the Vorthik could change. The two species had been fighting for so long that peace seemed impossible. But then Dr. Chun presented her research. She had been studying Vorthik biology and psychology since the battle. Her findings were remarkable. The Vorthik brain is capable of the same emotions as any of our species, Dr. Chun explained. They simply never learn to use those parts of their minds. But with proper guidance, they can develop empathy, compassion, and all the other traits we value. She showed brain scans of Carthan taken before and after his time with the humans. The areas associated with empathy and social bonding were noticeably more active than they had been when he first arrived. This being has literally rewired his brain to become more compassionate, Doctor. Chun said, if one Vorthik can change this much, imagine what their entire species could become with time and patience. The council was impressed by the scientific evidence, but some members were still doubtful. That doubt was ended when a new voice spoke from the gallery. I wish to address the council. Everyone turned to see a massive Vorthik enter the chamber. This one was even larger than Carthan, with scars covering his armored hide. The guards reached for their weapons, but the newcomer made no threatening moves. I am Thracklin, war leader of the 3rd Vorthik Fleet, the being announced. I have come to speak for my people. Emma felt Carthan tense beside her. She could tell this meeting was important and possibly dangerous. War leader, Carthan said formally. Why have you come? I have come because of you, young scout, Thracklin replied. Word of your actions has spread throughout our fleets. The story of the human female who showed you mercy, and how you fought beside humans against the Devourers. Emma held her breath. She did not know if this was good news or bad news. Thracklin continued. Many of our warriors call you weak for accepting help from aliens. But I have seen the battle recordings from New Haven. I have seen how you and the humans fought together. That was not weakness. That was a new kind of strength. The war leader turned to address the council directly. The Vorthik have always believed that mercy is weakness. But we have learned that we were wrong. The humans showed mercy to one of our scouts, and in return, that scout helped save them from destruction. Perhaps it is time for our people to learn this new way. Emma felt her heart racing. This was more than she had ever hoped for. The Vorthik offer a treaty with the Galactic Council, Thracklin announced. We will end our raids on council worlds. We will share our knowledge of the Devourers. In return, we ask for the chance to learn from the humans about mercy and cooperation. The chamber erupted in surprised voices. Species that had been enemies for centuries were suddenly talking about peace. But not everyone was happy. Counselor Taran stood up angrily. This is a trick. The Vorthik cannot be trusted. With respect, Counselor, Emma said, 6 months ago, you could have said the same thing about humans. We were just another species trying to survive. But we proved that we could be more than that. Now the Vorthik want the same chance. Commander Pierce stepped forward. I have fought the Vorthik for 20 years. I have seen them as enemies, and now I have seen them as allies. I can tell you that Carthan fought harder to defend New Haven than some of our own soldiers. If his people are sincere about change, we should give them that chance. A vote took place the next day. It was close, but in the end, the council agreed to accept the Vorthic offer. A new treaty was signed, creating an alliance against the Devourer threat. Emma watched as Carthan and Thraklin placed their claws on the treaty document, making the first peace between humans and Vorthok official. She felt proud and amazed that her simple act of kindness had led to this moment. After the ceremony, Emma and Carthan walked together through the station's observation deck, looking out at the stars. "What will you do now?" Emma asked. "I will return to my people and help them learn what you taught me," Carthan said. "It will not be easy. Many Vorthics still believe that mercy is weakness." "It will take time," Emma agreed. "But change always takes time." Carthan looked at her with his red eyes, which seemed somehow warmer than they had when she first met him. "I have learned many human words since we met, but the most important one is friend. I never knew what it meant before." Emma smiled. "It means someone who cares about you, even when it's difficult or dangerous." "Yes," Carthan said. "Like when a small human female helps a wounded Vorthic, even though she has been taught to fear him. Or when a Vorthic warrior protects that same human, even though it goes against everything he was raised to believe," Emma replied. They stood together in comfortable silence, watching the ships coming and going from the station. Some were human vessels, some were Vorthic, and some belonged to other species. For the first time in galactic history, they were all flying under the same flag of alliance. 6 months later, Emma received a message from Carthan. The Vorthic integration program was going well. Young Vorthic were learning about empathy and cooperation alongside human teachers. Some of the older warriors were having trouble adapting, but many were eager to try this new way of living. The Devourer threat was still real, but the combined fleets of the Council and the Vorthic had won several important battles. The machines were learning to adapt to human tactics, but the Alliance was learning too. Each victory taught them new ways to work together. Emma had been offered a position as a cultural liaison between humans and Vorthic. She would travel between worlds, helping to build understanding between the two species. It was important work, and she was excited to do it. But first, she had one more visit to make. Emma returned to New Haven, where it all began. The colony had been rebuilt and expanded. The crystal caves where she first met Carthan had been turned into a memorial to the battle, but also to the friendship that had grown from an act of mercy. Her father Carlos was still running the mining operation, but now he had Vorthic workers alongside the humans. The two species worked well together, combining human creativity with Vorthic strength. Dr. Chun had established a research center on the colony, studying how different species could learn to cooperate. Her work was being used throughout the galaxy to help former enemies become allies. Even Jake Morrison had changed. The former security chief now trained mixed human-Vorthic security teams. He had become one of the strongest advocates for the Alliance. Emma stood in the crystal caves, remembering the scared 16-year-old girl who had found a wounded alien and decided to help him. That girl had no idea that her simple act of kindness would change the course of galactic history. But Emma understood. Now that every act of mercy, no matter how small, had the potential to grow into something larger. Kindness was like a seed that could take root in the most unlikely places and grow into something beautiful. As she prepared to leave New Haven and begin her new job, Emma thought about all the other wounded beings in the galaxy who might need mercy. Humans, Vorthic, and dozens of other species, all struggling to survive in a dangerous universe. Maybe, with enough compassion and understanding, they could all learn to help each other. Maybe they could build a galaxy where mercy was seen as strength, not weakness. Emma Rodriguez had learned that even monsters need mercy sometimes. And when that mercy is given freely, it has the power to transform not just individuals, but entire civilizations. The girl who had once been afraid of the dark spaces between stars was now ready to venture into that darkness, carrying the light of compassion.